I would like to, Mr. Vijay, I would like to officially welcome you to Conscious Entrepreneur podcast.
Thank you.
In this particular podcast, what we essentially do is we bring in the principles of the universe, consciousness, self-awareness, all the principles of karma, as well as intuition. So many angles at looking at using the forces of nature to make sure that we are aligned in our businesses. So first of all, I'll start first with I want you to introduce yourself first, and give us information about your background and where you're coming from. Tell us about a little bit about your business as well.
Okay. So thank you, Shabi. It's amazing, and I'm looking forward to the discussion. And I hope that, and I'm sure also that when we are discussing, I'm sure I will learn something, and viewers will also get at least some inputs or somewhere they will learn something which they can implement in their life and help them become a better entrepreneur. Okay. So my name is Vijay Khanke. By business and by profession, I'm into IT. We are a product company. We have a product called Charity ERP, which is for charitable organizations, and we have another product coming up in healthcare. So that is from business front. Along with that, I have been into on the spiritual path. At least you can say that last 13-14 years, and which really changed me as a person, and of course that reflected in my business, that reflected in the people I work with, and then reflected also in the kind of impact we were able to do, whether it is business or personal life or profession. And also then, over the period of my 15 years of journey in spiritual path, I realized somewhere I need to dedicate some time where I can create an impact in the personal lifestyle or health of people. So I became an instructor of pranic healing as well. So that is about me.
Okay, great. So very interesting. So, Mr. Vijay, I think you did mention that you are a pranic healer. You are on the spiritual part. Can you tell us a little bit about audience of what is it like being on the spiritual path, and what exactly is the spiritual path you're talking about, right? What is really a spiritual path?
Okay, so spiritual path is somewhere you work on yourself instead of controlling the factors outside. You focus on what is inside, right? Sometimes we end up working on external things so much, and still we don't get the result. And I'm sure every entrepreneur have somewhere experienced that. And you're working 18 hours a day. Sometimes some of them initial journey. I used to sleep in the office for a few months. I slept in the office. I worked, and I wake up again, and I'm in the office. So we think that initial understanding is the more we work on the work, we will grow. But with that, you can grow a little bit, of course. But I guess the real game changer or real change comes in terms of result or impact is when people start working on themselves more. And of course, you work on business, but you work on yourself more. So spirituality is not about wearing certain kind of clothes or meditating alone. But I guess in my understanding and what I understood from my teacher, Master Shokaku, is that it's about who you are, when what you think inside, what you feel inside, right? What you believe in, what are your beliefs? Okay, what is your vision? What is your mission? These things contribute a lot to who we are and on our spiritual path. So if somebody is harmless, may not be meditating, but person is really harmless in terms of words, in terms of emotions. Person is really want to help other people and grow in their journey. So I guess that person is more spiritual. If rather than somebody who is maybe meditating a lot but harming other people, so that's not spirituality for me. For me, spirituality is all about how I'm growing. So when I look back on my last year example, and if I feel okay, no, I'm a better person than last year, and I'm proud of myself, so I guess then you are growing spiritually.
Got it. Very excellent. I think that really sums up spirituality, because I think a lot of people fear spirituality. I've seen they feel it's
Yeah,
religion, and a lot of people mix the two, right?
true,
And
true.
I think there's still a lot of what you can say misunderstanding between spirituality and religion. And I think that I think we are very well cleared up that it's really about yourself. Spirituality is about yourself and your actions, and then your connection with the higher being, right? God, essentially. So having said that, I think what I would like to actually start more with in terms of your business and how spirituality is related to that. So what have you seen, right? I think there must have been phase where you were probably not non-spiritual, doing your things,
Yeah,
versus being spiritual and doing your business. So what
yeah.
changes have you seen when that shift happened?
So, as we say, spirituality. So, somewhere I would to differentiate better, I guess, because we started with that discussion. So, spirituality and religion. Somewhere, this is my understanding. Science is like spirituality. Religion is like a technology, right? All religions are ultimately based on the same spiritual concepts. Okay, every religion believes somewhere you should do good to other people because the principle behind that is karma. Example, so you do good to other people and good will happen to you, right? So that is like basis, but you will see it reflects in every religion. So it's like a basic science, and then there are technologies. So spiritual religions are like technology. How you understand the science is through technology when you are a beginner in the field of science. Now, talking about my journey, when I started as a in IT, but it was a service company. We were developing websites, and back then I'm talking about 2007, 8 at that time, and we were into e-learning, where we were working on some of the projects for the US-based companies and individuals as well. So that was how I started. Slowly, what happened? I used to work a lot. I used to work hard. No doubt. I guess I never worked that hard in my life when it comes in terms of business compared to today. So and we got the results. But what happened is, with the moment there was no peace inside because I was working, and somewhere it affected my relationship. It affected my relationship with my family. It affected my health. Then I got involved with. There is an incident, when I was infected with swine flu, and at that time I was introduced to pranic healing, and then through pranic healing, within the pranic healing school, there is a spiritual path. Like when you learn about soul, you learn about karma, you learn about our existence, what is our purpose in this life, and so on. So from that time, I started consciously looking into the actions we were taking in business, which was bringing profitability, but some of the things were not so right. Okay, not right in not so or not right at all. Okay, I don't go into details because there were other partners in the business and they're still into the same business. Then I left. I quit that part. I said no, I cannot work with this way. I need to change my way because if I want to look into my own eyes, the future me, when we look back on the old me, I want to be proud of it. I don't want to be, okay, what I done, I did wrong. So I parted from my ways and I started another business. So when people think, it doesn't mean, by the way, once you become spiritual, business grows automatically. It doesn't work like that. Okay, rather you are tested. So when the spiritual life part came in my life, I started meditating. I did arhatic yoga, and I started practicing those principles. Do good to other people, charity, donations, tithing, what we call, and bring change in our thought process, how we think about our business as well, along with not just what do good, but think about what you think about your people, think about yourself, think about other people, think about your employees, think about your business, your product, and the impact what it can make. Everything changes. So I started looking for something where I can really make a difference in the world. So I started with service, but it was very tough time. A lot of challenges came, and what I found interesting is, earlier I used to work more. I had more number of clients also. When I went on to spiritual path, my number of clients reduced. So I got worried. What is happening? Instead of growing things, am I doing wrong thing? Am I focusing too much on my spiritual journey that I am not focusing on business? What is happening? But what I found is, one of the law says that like attracts like. The moment you change, you also attract people, whether they are your clients or people who work with you. They are like you. So what happened is, over the period of time, there was a dip, and then I started getting people, clients, and people who will work with me who were like me, who were believing good, doing good for the world, who were working on themselves. So suddenly people were paying on time. Everything just changed. People were paying properly as per the what you are providing, the value you are providing in business. And suddenly my number of working hours decreased, but income increased. So overall sale increased, overall business increased, and that blew my mind. Okay, suddenly what happened? So it's not sudden. What you were doing persistent, what I was doing for persistently for several months, now it started showing results. So it's not instant. It takes time. I guess person to person, it takes more or less time. And then the kind of decisions you make, the kind of perspective you have. So then we started with charity RP, because somewhere we felt, okay, this is good. area, charitable organizations, they're putting effort. They're putting so much effort to make a difference in the world. But many a times they are stuck with a lot of compliance things, a lot of administrative things, that instead of focusing on their main cause, they are dealing with these admin things. So we came up with a product, me and my brother-in-law Sunny, we both came up with the product, and this was pro bono, by the way. Now look at how world works, our universe works. It was a pro bono project, and we started working on, redeveloping small tools so that this particular NGO where we were volunteering, and they were facing challenges, so we gave them some solutions. And then we thought there are many other organizations who are facing same challenges. So what we did, we developed from scratch a product which solves, end to end all the solutions for charitable organizations. And that really took off, and many organizations were looking for such solution where they don't have to work on these things like managing donations or managing donors or in discussing with developers and companies, okay, how their website should be, integrating payment gateway, nothing. So it's just plug and play system. And that gave peace, because imagine now our platform contributes somewhere where millions of donors donate, and they are able to support cause of thousands of organizations who are associated with us. And that really feels good. At the same time, I'm doing what I love. I'm still coding, I'm still doing business, I'm still working in IT, but at the same time that product is somewhere being used for good. So that really changed, like, the perspective of
I think,
how I look at product
I
as
think
well.
what I observe based on your conversation, I think that shift in your consciousness, I think a lot of people sway away from using spirituality. They use the word consciousness.
Yeah.
Uh, you saw a shift in your focus. You got an idea of something which is going to be impactful, which is close to your heart, and which will also make the money for you. So I think that was probably the tipping point for you as an entrepreneur, right? But
Yeah.
I think, don't you think sometimes as an entrepreneur, if you are highly careful about karma and consciousness, and sometimes difficult decisions are very difficult to take. Have you experienced that? For example,
Yes.
letting go of people,
Yeah.
right? You have to fire people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I was
things
going
like
to give
that.
the same example.
Yeah.
I was going to give the same example what you mentioned. So yeah, it becomes, so what happens is we start losing balance. It's like uh, a balancing a scale. So earlier the focus was too much on material things, that there was no consciousness or there was no spiritual aspect. Then what happens the moment you understand, okay, there is this another aspect, there is too much weight on this side, right? We pay too much attention to, okay, am I hurting somebody? Is somebody going to be upset? Will that person be in a trouble, with my, because of my decisions? So sometimes where we are supposed to be harsh, we are not harsh. Sometimes we are supposed to be firm, we are not firm. Where we are supposed to be, adhering to the principles of the business, sometimes the principles what we learn on spiritual path becomes more important for us at times. So it takes time, it's like this, so then you have to give a little bit more weightage to spirituality, then material things, then you give a little bit more weight to spirituality. Slowly you learn how to balance things. So it doesn't happen in one day, it doesn't happen in 1 month also, to be very honest, right? So
Mhm.
it's over the period of time you realize, okay, I need to balance. So there has to be balance in terms of what my business needs, because see, at a very higher level we understand, because business is also separate entity. If I don't give the respect which this entity deserves, then I'm taking this business for granted, right? So then slowly you understand, okay, no, I'm giving too much attention to the other principles. But the being, it's like, imagine there is another family member, you are not the earning, the family member is earning, that is the only person earning, but you don't give respect to that person at all.
Mhm.
Now this business is another entity which is bringing, bread and butter to my family, and taking care, I'm able to take care of my family. Because of that, I'm able to, the whole, all the people, those who are working or contributing their efforts, their energy, their hours, are being paid, and they are able to take their family because of this person. Example, look at business as a person. The moment you understand that, okay, no, then I have to give respect, the due respect to this entity also. And then you realize, okay, now some of the things which I was doing, in not hurting people, I was hurting business, right? In not hurting with my mind of not hurting, or not being firm, or not adhering to the principles of the business because somebody will feel bad, I was damaging the emotions of my business. So once you understand that, then you realize, okay, no, sometimes I need to be firm. I need to make sure the deadlines are met. I need to make sure that people are working. They're not just taking things for granted, because that is the meaning that I'm respecting this being as a business. So it takes time, but definitely, I guess every person who was on spiritual path initially definitely does mistake where they take this spiritual laws. They give too much weight where they're disrespecting the entity by not being firm sometimes, and that balance takes time, but it is okay because balance doesn't come in one day. Okay, it takes time. Be patient with ourselves.
So, what do you think? How does intuition plays a role in having self-awareness and consciousness while running a business? What have you seen when it comes to intuition? How have you applied? If you could give us some examples, I think it'd be very useful for audience. Yeah.
So intuition is plays and played an amazing role. I guess all the entrepreneurs or anybody who is successful in their life, whether they may or may not be aware, but intuition played a vital role. Sometimes, logically, whatever data says and everything says, we take certain decision. Okay, this is what data says. This is what the region, my rational thinking says. This is what everybody says. But your intuition says something else. And then you decide, okay, I would go with my intuition this time, and let's see what happens, and you end up having solutions. Now sometimes people may not experience intuition this way, but many entrepreneurs will definitely vouch for this, because I've experienced this a lot. You have certain problem and you're trying to deal with it, and you don't know what is the solution. You sleep with it, and when you wake up in the morning, you have the solution. And you are like, you wake up and you have that, okay, now this is how I can solve the problem. So initially, earlier times, I was a lot of into code, and a lot of most of the time would go into coding. Many a time there were challenges we were struggling with for whole day sometimes, and next day when you wake up in the morning and miraculously or surprisingly you have the solution for it. And that really that is nothing but an intuition. It's just playing working in not in a conscious way, in a subconscious way. When you're sleeping, the intuition is slipping down, and then when you wake up, you remember that, or you just know, simply knowing. There is no reason behind it. You just know, okay, this is how the solution will work. So it happened several times in terms of the challenges we were solving. So I'll give you one example. We were dealing with one of the product which is in healthcare now. So what we have seen is there is no global product in healthcare, because there are many laws. Different countries have different laws when it comes to healthcare, and we were trying to find out how we can have one system which will work according to country. Automatically it should solve all the compliance issues, and everything data will be localized and everything. But there was a struggle how we can achieve that. And one fine day, we were sitting, we were discussing, brainstorming on what can be done, how we can solve it, and nothing came out. Next day, nothing came out as such, and we're still stuck with the similar issue. And next day, when I slept, and while sleeping, just meditating in the night, and I slept, and when woke up in the morning, and I found, okay, this is how we can solve the problem, and we can localize the data, we can handle all the compliance issues, just having one system at the same time. So and that really, then we tried that, and it really worked out. So that way it solved many decisions. Like, though you are into business or entrepreneur, you have other insights also. Like, you need to invest apart from your business also, right? So whatever it helped me in terms of investments also. So where to invest, which stocks to invest, and all. So it was more. So I'm not expert in reading charts or reading. I do not have enough time to study about the what we call the background of the companies and all. But many time intuition plays. Okay, this is where we can invest, and I got amazing results there as well.
Right.
So
So what
in
is
business,
generally like intuition? I've heard. I mean, I've heard people saying, based on my experience, also based on what I hear, about 50% correct. Like there's a possibility of 50% it going wrong as well.
yeah,
Have you
yeah.
also experienced that, and would you have any suggestion how to improve that?
So luckily, what happened? Small things happen, but why that happens, I will tell you. It's not an intuition always. So
Okay.
sometimes what happens, your mind plays with you, right?
Right.
Sometimes you are polarized. Like we are,
Keep the two
yeah.
separate, isn't it? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So what happens? The mind is already polarized. The mind is already biased towards certain things. So we hear what we want to hear sometimes, right? So of course we end up doing certain mistakes because of that, because we wanted to hear that. And rather the intuition is sometimes you don't agree with your intuition, but it plays a role, so sometimes if which seems to be too obvious, you're too excited and you feel too right, you have to be a little more careful. Sometimes intuition comes, but you also have doubts, which is completely fine, right? Having doubts about your intuition is much better than being confident and going wrong, right, with your logic, which is not technically your intuition. So these things happen, what you pointed out. Rather, and apart from that, what I also noticed is sometimes it is very difficult to explain other people why you are taking certain decision, because it is your intuition and there is no logic behind it, right? And you want to explain to other people, okay, how can we we should do this, but they will say, okay, why we are doing it, we can have any other way. What is the logic behind it? Sometimes there is no logic, but when you trial and error helps you understand what is logic and what is your mind is telling you and what is intuition is telling. Intuition comes at very higher level. It's divine guidance. I define like intuition is like an inner tuition. It's guidance coming from within you, from something higher, and logic comes from your mind. So separating two, the best way is you try, is it really my intuition, and you try it at the small scale, or maybe at part of it you try, and if it is working, then you go all in, something like that. Because it varies. It's like we're talking about tuition, but we're not talking about which subject, right? So it's very broad area to talk about.
Yeah, it's tough. That those calls are tough.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think switching a little bit in terms of scenarios where if a business owner or entrepreneur is going through a lot of huge losses in a company,
Yeah.
and really not conscious, not spiritual, not conscious, not self-aware, really not aware what is happening, still blames his destiny on all that, partners and everything. What would you
Yeah.
advise such person to do, like step 1, 2, 3, to come out of that particular situation? Do you have any thoughts on, or have you seen yourself, people going through that and then probably recommending certain things to do, and then they've seen a turnaround? Anything you want to, kind of help such entrepreneurs or business owners going through difficult times?
Yes. So people, those who are struggling, and at the same time they are on, let's say, a spiritual path. Yeah, it's a nature that we end up blaming or somewhere taking comfort in. Okay, maybe it was karmic. We're supposed to happen, right? One of the advice is, first of all, you have to take charge of your life. That is like first. Whatever happens, you have to take responsibility for it. 100% accountability and responsibility, instead of letting it go on the it happened because of maybe it was supposed to happen. Take the responsibility, take the accountability, take charge of your karmic life, take charge of your life. I guess spirituality, it took me time also. Earlier I was the same, when situation went wrong, I blamed maybe it was not supposed to happen, maybe it was meant to go wrong, and so on. But over the period of time, then I realized, no, I'm giving authority or power of running this business or running my life into the hands of sometimes universe and sometimes other people. But I'm not doing my due diligence of taking responsibility and taking charge. Right. So if I do business example, when let's say something goes wrong in business, and if I say maybe it was meant to happen, my team will not look at me as a pillar of strength. You have to take responsibility. This happened somewhere, I'm responsible for it. You have to take the responsibility deep down. At least you should know, okay, it happened, I have to take responsibility now, how I can correct it, where I went wrong. Okay, you analyze those things, then you think about from both the perspective, material perspective, spiritual perspective. And when you're a spiritual path, they say you are a disciple, and disciple is gone by the external laws and the inner laws. So there are both. You have to struggle that's the war you are going through. That is your Kurukshetra. So you need to first take ownership of it. Okay, this is what I did, this has happened, and somewhere I am responsible. What I went wrong, you understand that. What I did right, you understand that. Then you'll see the whole situation from the spiritual perspective, and also you see from the perspective of material things. So what things practically wrong? Did I hurt any basic fundamental business principles which I was supposed to follow? Right? So sometimes, like for example, it luckily never happened with me, but initially I've seen, because in the nature of I'm teaching, as I said, pranic healing. I come across many people, I meet, discuss with many people. Sometimes, for example, the moment things go wrong, not people paying on time is seems easy solution, okay, where you can save money and you can pay later. But I have realized that the more if you don't pay people on time, that things sometimes come back to you today or tomorrow or day after. It is going to come back where you will be struggling with people who are not paying you on time or not getting paid or delays or something. There is some kind of delay where you are supposed to monetize something but it's being delayed, and that I definitely seen many times. And when I always suggest to people, okay, people pay on time, it's okay, it's not their mistake, they are putting their effort. Okay, you need to compensate some or the other way that they should be given because they have put their effort. If there is a higher profit, it is yours. Then if there is a loss, it is yours, no option, right? So such kind of things we end up doing mistakes, and then we learn out of it, and then we start making changes. Also, when we look at people, where when you look at employee, you look at them as a person. Okay, so when it comes to work, they're supposed to deliver everything, but you don't have to be a bad person or bad boss. Then only people will work. That is another. Earlier, I had this thought that you need to be really strict and very firm. Then only they work. No, when you are on a spiritual path, sometimes as we practice and speak, spirituality, your energy changes this way. This is what I've experienced. That with minimum instructions, people understand more, they follow better, and they deliver better. Earlier, you need to give many instructions, then people understand, then people do things. So instead of that, you give minimum instructions and people work. People look at your business, that they think that how your business will do. I know, or if you are an entrepreneur, but people those who are working, though they are salaried, but they think how the business will grow. They think about you when you think about them. So these things. Apart from that, I would say all the entrepreneurs, my message would be, if you are on spiritual path, you should, it's a good thing, and if you are not, you should be on some path. You need some guidance because you need inner strength when
So a
things
lot of
go wrong.
people are still religious, right? They pray
Yeah.
in the morning and stuff. Do you think that's sufficient? Like being on spiritual part and being religious, like if you are just religious and you're praying every
Yeah.
day, will that be sufficient for those people?
I don't think it's sufficient. Being religious is not enough. Religion can be one part practice, but you need to go more abstract. Religion is more concrete. It's about processes, what we do, and everything. I'm talking more about the abstract things behind it. Okay, so I guess they should study because it should challenge your intellect. It should challenge you how you think, what you think about the world and the universe. So ideas will keep popping up in that case in your mind. Religious practices are monotonous.
So, have you also seen instances where sometimes you feel you're on the right path, you're on the spiritual path, you're making the right decisions, still you are landing into difficult situations, right? Because sometimes you know you're doing the best. Maybe sometimes it's also you're not able to see things. That could be an issue where you probably cannot see because it's very business is very complicated. It's a very 360-degree scenario, right? But in your mind you're still thinking that okay, I'm doing all the right things, but I'm still going through challenging times. Even for people, I'm talking about now people who are more on the spiritual path themselves.
Yeah. So I guess that happens to everybody. It happened to me as well. At that time, separating yourself for some time from what you're doing and taking a break. Not break, I'm just saying that you leave everything and go run away. But you isolate yourself from the situation and you see the whole situation as a third person. That gives a better perspective. And it happens. It happens. Though, do you feel everything I'm doing right, but something is wrong. Still, something is wrong, and you're not able to see it because sometimes we are surrounded by those clouds, so we are not able to see things clearly. So you have to just detach yourself, go out. I guess in such case, what helped me a lot is the spiritual retreats. Everybody should take. I would recommend once in a year for 2-3 days at least. You should be away from the whole thing, the emails and tasks and appointments and meetings, everything. Just go away 2-3 days. You spend where focus on yourself. We're not thinking about these things. And when you come back, suddenly you start seeing the solution to these things.
Right.
So let's challenge. Even if there is a challenging situation, now you see, okay, now this is the root cause, and this
Sometimes
is
you
how.
also experience that since people know that you are a conscious spiritual person, people try to take advantage of you. Like, have you seen that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, that happened with me. Definitely happened. And sometimes, though I knew it is happening, but couldn't help. To be very honest, could not help.
All right. So,
So
so some scenarios can happen where your customers probably, I mean, your
yeah, it did
customer
not happen
not
with customer. It
your
happened with
customers not paying you on time.
yeah,
Uh, could be one thing, but sometimes there are some customers who come in your life. They are kind of, I'm not saying they do it intentionally, but they
yeah,
can trick you
yeah.
in terms of what they are, and I think they might start to take advantage of you, right, in certain situations, right? So in that
It
case, do
happens
you,
like
do you suggest to cut off ties with such customers, that. Or do you suggest try to.
So by the way, it never happened with me in terms of customers, so I may not be able to give you the right advice on that. But I believe sometimes you need to consider. It's really you need to weigh the situation. But it happened with me in terms of people who worked, and I knew that okay, now the people that this person is taking advantage. But I felt that okay, maybe person looks at me as a last resort somewhere. Okay, this is how my problem will solve. Otherwise, there is no solution. And when I say okay, there is no solution, person in a situation where person is supposed behaving this way because of the external circumstances, so I allowed the person in a way to take advantage, but in long run that helped me only, and only why. So there was this person, I will not take names again because this is podcast, people things will go, you never know, so I will not take names,
Very
but
hoping this goes viral.
yeah, so it happened with me, and later on, after many years the same person realize also when people do wrong, anybody does wrong, they may think that nobody knows I'm doing something wrong, but they themselves know. All everybody knows. It's just there is no realization at that time. So a similar situation happened where person knew that person is taking advantage of me in terms of because I'm spiritual. He knew, person knew okay, this person will be always helping, person will not say no, and so on. So took advantage, but later on after many years person came and said those things, I took that advantage, and person offered and offered a help in terms of to set off in a way set off the what extra advantage person took from me. The person tried to came themselves came and offered that help or favor or whatever you call. So at least they tried to settle the pending account in a way.
Sure.
So I guess that in long run I would say it helps only. Okay,
Right.
in long run it helps only.
Is there a path for accelerated business growth? Like if there's a business owner wants to be spiritual, being spiritual conscious, doing the right things, right, doing donations and everything. But is there a path where he can really accelerate his business with like sometimes we ourselves are limiting ourselves, right? Many times
Yeah.
this is the case, happens in most business owners perspective, right? But once you get into this path, right, once you start to understand that your outer world is a reflection of your inner world, right? But sometimes also you have big ambitions, but somehow sometimes I've seen entrepreneurs with big ambitions, but somehow they're not able to really create the life around them. But
Yeah.
what I'm asking you, is there any like one step which an entrepreneur can do which can lead to the acceleration? Like I mean, we can imagine acceleration of our spiritual growth, right? That's one thing. But acceleration of business, is it that related to the spiritual growth of the person, or is there any other way where we can really accelerate the business?
Okay, so there are two aspects. One is I'll talk about the inner thing. What's about you? The more you grow, there will be more opportunities. But whether you will be able to deliver on these opportunities or not, that is a separate matter. But there will be opportunities. I have seen absolutely amazing opportunities. Sometimes I messed up with my own decision making in a way, or I did not take because. On spiritual path when you come, you think more about other aspect. There are other aspects also like life, family, time. You start giving too much importance sometimes, I guess, but you start giving balance, a lot of value. There is still balance in life. But I would like to say to everyone that you can't achieve greatness with balance initially. I haven't seen any great person who had balance in life. They always imbalance somehow,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you need to put a lot of effort, and that brings imbalance for some time, but later on there will be balance. But don't try to at a young age, don't look for balance a lot. There will be imbalances, and that is perfectly fine. Don't imbalance to the level that you're damaged, creating a lot of damage, but other. Now second thing, sometimes on spiritual path I got tunnel vision, where we start seeing everything from one perspective, one teaching, one school, everything from very, very tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
So one should not develop tunnel vision on spiritual path.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just like in business, like in marketing or sales, can be many ways of doing
Multi
things.
ways of marketing, multiple ways of doing sales. Makes sense.
Exactly. Okay, so
Also, you
similarly
can
on
have
spiritual
multiple
path,
products and services too. Yeah.
true. So you have your core strength, but sometimes looking at the situation, looking at the world around you, you need to adapt and you need to get things done in different ways. Similarly, on spiritual path, you stick to one path, but it should be open enough to learn, to understand if there is can be something else which can help me in different ways. So, earlier, like for example, when I started this, which became part of Pranic Arati Yoga, my readings were, I used to read a lot. And earlier also, I used to read a lot. But my readings were limited to many times Pranic and Arati Yoga, a lot. Okay, but somewhere what happened then, slowly, because you are seeing everything from one perspective, you didn't know the other perspective. What can be other possibilities? Though it is already very broad, but still it can be only one perspective. So then I started reading about something else which is in business. Okay, so I started reading, like for example, if you heard about growth, one of the book I liked was Growth Hacking. Right, it's amazing book.
Mm-hmm.
I would every entrepreneur to read that book. It's amazing how you can think. So now, when you read Growth Hacking, it's about stories. How people or organizations, some people achieve exponential growth in overnight. Okay, like there is a story of Dropbox, what they did. There is a story of Google, what they did, and so on. Of Gmail, when they launched Gmail, they came up with the exclusivity and so on. So it talks about how you can find your formula of growth hacking. Rather than marketing is a conventional, you look at growth hacking now. But when you are on spiritual path, you read that you may not have new ideas. You may repeat the same thing. Let's say you are just reading that, you may repeat the same thing. You tried, okay, it worked for them, maybe I will try it, maybe it will work for me. But that may not be the case. But when you're on spiritual path, with that, what you're reading outside, that knowledge, and your understanding, because you are growing spiritually, you see things from the little bit higher perspective, you can say. Not wide angle, but higher. The moment you add that perspective, you start saying, okay, how can I, and then you start having ideas. The good thing about, I guess, every person who's on spiritual path is you come up with the amazing ideas, amazing ideas. Okay, I'm sure you have experienced it. You come with sometimes so many ideas that have nothing to do with your business also, right? And
So
then you're
many
like, okay,
ideas.
what?
I mean, I've experienced myself, right?
Yeah,
That for every question or for everything people ask you, you have an answer,
yeah,
and then they're
answer.
amazed. So I
Yeah,
think
there. I'm
also
sure you have the answer.
I credit that also to meditation,
True.
which I think is I think is such a big, such a, it looks such a, what you can say, like an easy tool, but the
Is it
power it gives to you is
is
unbelievable,
amazing.
right? Uh,
So this is what it does. So though you know things, but for you, what will work? And can you come up with the novel ideas? In the world, there are very few people who can come up with novel ideas, and I guess those people are the one who meditate. Though because novel ideas are also somewhere, I believe, coming from the divine. When you meditate, then the ideas come, right?
yes.
And the solutions come. And when people ask question, you tune in and you suddenly have that instinctively. And some, like when I'm teaching or sometimes business, I came up with the ideas sometimes for examples which I did not thought about earlier.
Hmm.
When the
Right.
situation came, so situation questions, they bring that essence in you, and you just deliver that, and you realize, okay, this is amazing. How can I never thought about it earlier, right?
Mhm.
Because it did not came with logic. It came instinctively, and rather it came intuitively, right? So there is no logic. There is nothing logic, no logic behind it. So the meditation and spiritual practices help you come up or derive a solution or ideas which by copying the formulas you may not get able to get the same kind of results. So this is how, so have a open perspective where you are open to different views, because you will have different but higher view, definitely, if you're on spiritual path. Spirituality takes you up and up. You just need different viewpoints so that you can have higher viewpoint of everything.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's also spirituality. What I realize is also experimental, right? As always, masters say, don't experiment what I say, right? And see for yourself, right?
It's about intelligence. If you start
Yes.
believing in everything,
Yes.
it's like a blind belief,
Yes.
right?
You
So
you you experiment, and I've also done many experiments, and I see very amazing results out of that, and I
yeah,
think that really is made me interested to do something like this, because I'm sure every individual has a very unique perspective on what, and I think I'm kind of looking for the kind of the magic formulas as well, which we can derive from these discussions, because I think based on what I have seen, this really works. It's just that you have to have the belief and the patience that it's going to work, because of, I think, the neutralization of the karmas. I think that also plays a major role, right, in terms of
True, true, true.
what you really need, and it takes time. I think you need to be patient, right? If you're not patient, I think you'll give up very easily. uh,
True.
so I think
I
that.
guess in business and spiritual practices, if you just change the perspective, it's about material things, money, it's about sales, it's about delivering a product. The struggle, the effort involved, the time involved is just the same in spiritual path. I mean, time part will be less, of course, but it's constant thing. It just keeps your mind occupied. How you can do better, but it's very abstract. It's very concrete. So if you're on spiritual path and you're serious about it, and on your entrepreneur, I guess it's as good as having two businesses. It's as good as two businesses, because both things, with the amount of energy it will take. But here, what you earn or what you get is the monetary form, right? The returns are in monetary form. Here, the return is the divine connection. The more connection with the divine, the more peace inside, the more confidence. Okay, things will go right. No matter how low the situation is, you look at the situation in an optimistic way. Also, what we call the taking of leap of faith. Sometimes you have to jump, take a big jump, and you feel like, okay, it's I was reading another book. I would recommend everybody. It's called U Square. It's an amazing book. It's small, 35 pages book, but I guess the author did an amazing job. So my background is physics, and what we learn there is quantum jump. Quantum jump is from where the word quantum leap came, right? So quantum jump is when sometimes the particle behaves in such a way that it jumps to different orbit, but it doesn't have that much energy. And it doesn't have that much energy in physical terms, physics terms. There is no such enough amount of energy to change the orbit. It's like in terms of life, you are making a big jump in your life. We don't have what it takes to go there. But then how come that particle jumps? So that at this time, Einstein back then said that and that the result was it's random. They came up with physics came up with that it's random. There is no logic behind it. It's random. But in physics there is nothing random, right? So at that time, Einstein said that how can God play a game of dice with the humans? Because the game of dice, you roll the dice, it's random. Whatever happens, it happens. So and that book says, and this is what I've experienced in life, that sometimes this jump is so sudden, so steep that you think that you can't achieve that. But one of the lesson I learned is it's not about, it's a quantum jump or quantum leap talks about that sometimes taking jump in unknown territory. You need courage. You can't be doing that with fear, right? You jump in doing something where you don't know what will happen. You don't know whether you have that much energy to go there, or that much skill or effort or money or capital or people to go there, but still you can go there. And that I've experienced in my life. I come from a very humble background in my family, and nobody business was not in anybody's dreams. So everybody, I used to walk at least 2.5 kilometers every day to when we used to go to school. So at that time, thinking about business, thinking about that I will have the kind of life I have today was impossible. At that time, thinking when I was living in a small town in Chandrapur district, a small village, thinking about, okay, one day you'll fly was like everybody would think of, okay, you're dreaming. It doesn't happen in reality. You can just watch plane. You can't fly in one of them.
Right.
So all those things happen. So what I would say is, to everybody, think where you want to go, not based on where you are. If you want to really achieve a great jump in life, mind will calculate based on what you have. Okay, this is where you can go. This is your logical mind telling you where you will go. But if you are on spiritual path, sky is the limit. You just think where you want to go, irrespective of what you have, whether you have whatever the requirement criteria is, whether it is there or not, doesn't matter. Think where you want to go and you will reach. And that I have experienced in my life, and I've seen many people experiencing it. So irrespective of capital, irrespective of people, irrespective of resources. If you feel you want to be certain at certain level, at certain place, just think about it, work towards it, and you will reach there.
Awesome. This is
Okay,
very
you can achieve
encouraging.
your quantum
I'm
jump.
sure it's very encouraging for people to hear that, and also encouraging for people to explore consciousness, self awareness, spirituality, intuition. There are many aspects to this. So I think that's Mr. Vijay, that's bringing me towards my last question here, and it's a real open-ended question. I think we went through many topics of karma, intuition, business laws, all the kind of different aspects of business and spirituality. Is there anything you think which we have not covered, which you think is really important and our audiences should be aware about when it comes to relating spirituality with business?
Okay, so it's really open-ended question. When we
Yeah.
thought about it, that you would come up with something like that, but
Yes. So I think what is your intuitive intelligence telling you? Have you missed anything? That's what I'm trying to ask.
yeah. So first of all, I would share one experience. What happened in last, let's say, 2 3 months. Okay, so there was a lot of focus in my life. So I'm associated with multiple things. I'm into business. I have my profession as I teach pranic healing on weekends. Right now, I'm also managing trustee of Maharashtra Foundation. So I've been working with people, working with many people, and help them also how they can grow and so on. What I found is help other people that how they will grow, and it helps you a lot. Okay, it has karma as well as now I'm talking, there is sometimes insecurity. Okay, what if I share this? Will people? What if my secret juice people will know? But if they grow, what will happen? Nothing will happen. Okay, you will grow the way you grow. They will grow what they will grow, right? So one of the things people think that their ideas are just coming to them. It doesn't work like that. Ideas come to many people. Very few people choose to implement them. Okay, so when you have some idea, if you're thinking this is unique to me, it's not like. Okay, there are many people who are meditating. Many entrepreneurs will be getting that idea. The one who will be implementing that will be getting the result. That is number one. So what I found is, and then about tunnel vision I was talking about. So when I started studying, reading about other perspective, other things, and I realized that I was living or having the powerhouse of energy with all the techniques and tools, but I wasn't using them much actively in my business. I was using a lot in my profession, spreading chronic healing. I was more focused there. So in last few maybe in, let's say 1 quarter, last 3 months, I started working on these areas. Okay, how we can actually concrete way setting targets. Nothing much. Huh? I started with setting targets, which seemed unrealistic to many people at that time. This is unrealistic. It's very difficult to achieve based on the current situation. And you wouldn't believe, like for example, in my business, in 1 month we doubled our clients.
Wow.
Whatever we had just got doubled in 1 month. That is one. Second, even in terms of my personal wealth, what I maybe accumulated wealth in 1 year, I accumulated in just 1 month.
Wow. Okay.
In just 1 month. I know that's amazing. I started thinking what I did different. So different was number one, I started, sometimes we have that energy. We are just not using it in the right way.
Correct.
Okay. Sometimes we are just dissipating the energy in unwanted things, right? We're not thinking about what you want. So one of the techniques I would recommend to everybody is write down where you want to go. Writing down helps a lot. And you should constantly see it. Write down and constantly see, okay, this is where I want to go. And if you then be on spiritual path, because you need that energy. So that quantum jump happened because of unseen energy which physics couldn't measure at that time, and today also. That energy is a spiritual energy which physics is yet not able to measure, I guess. And it's my belief that that jump happens because of the spiritual or divine energy which you and me can have through meditations, through spiritual practices. And if we get that, the jump is possible. It's not that it's impossible. It is possible. The missing factor and I firmly believe that missing factor that quantum jump is possible is because of the divine energy. You have that and you will jump.
And how do you get that?
Meditate. So meditate, find the tool you resonate with. Like for example, I follow Arhatic Yoga, I follow Pranic Healing. If you wish, you can join that as well. Explore that. I'm not saying that this is the path for you, but explore. Until unless you explore, how will you know whether it is working for you or not? So do meditate. Spend some time in silence. Gratitude helps. Sometimes we are so complaining about things. Earlier, I was complaining, oh, this is not working, that is not working, or these
Mm-hmm.
people are not.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be grateful because, for example, we have to be grateful to the people who work for us. You don't have. It's not about telling them that you're grateful, but it's feeling really that okay, because of them, sometimes my life is easier. Okay, because of them, I am able to, like, for example, I'm sitting here attending. We are recording this podcast. I know in afternoon at 4, because people are working there, right? They are getting things done. And if we have this gratitude, I guess we attract more abundance in life when there is gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
So gratitude is another thing. Sometimes we are not. Then one more thing I would recommend, as I said earlier, have targets which seems difficult. Just having target helps. By the way, there is no technique involved. Just having target helps. It's like, how will I go there? It doesn't. Just having target. You have target means now what you have done, you projected yourself in the future, and that future you will guide you. There is one it's not very good. It's a season, I guess on Netflix or something. It's about Queen of South. It's about this girl who turns
The
out to
name
be
of it is Queen of South. Okay.
Queen of South. Yeah, so it's
Okay.
about she becomes a narco queen, kind of,
Oh, okay.
narco. But in the throughout that entire series, it shows that the future her comes back and guides her. It's amazing that whenever she's in tough time, future her comes and guides her. You're not here to lose. You're not here to give up. You need to find solution how you can come out of this situation. And so the moment she was giving up and so on. So there are many situations where she feels stuck. And I'm sure there are many people who feel stuck sometimes. That what am I doing? Am I doing I'm growing maybe little bit, but is it what I'm supposed to do or not? So people feel stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are stuck, these kind of what you feel unachievable you, or a better you, or somebody, it's you only, but future you, who have achieved whatever all the dreams you wanted
Mm-hmm.
in your life. You have achieved this dream, and I guess there is nobody who can guide you better than you in
Your
the
own
future,
future. Right.
your own future. So I
Yes.
started doing this practice where, if I've achieved everything what I wanted in my life, everything, and that person comes to me and tells me what that person will tell me, and these things really help me. Okay, it's something coming from a series, I know, but it just triggered me. If I'm doing all these things, I'm meditating, I'm getting this much energy. What is that person who has grown spiritually very high? What is that person who is doing great in his life guides me? What will be the lesson this person will give me at this moment when I'm stuck? And that also helps you a lot. Apart from that, I would recommend everybody give and share your wealth, your whatever your earnings are. Part of it should definitely go for other people to help them. Monetary form. Okay, so donate wherever you can. That helps because many times opportunities came when we donated, and suddenly found that the opportunities just popped up, or challenges which will normally come would disappear. Also another thing, help with your intellect. Use, like you're doing amazing. This is amazing way of podcasting. What we are doing is we are sharing, and maybe it will help somebody. So find your way. It doesn't have to be podcast always. Sometimes, talking to a friend, helping them solve their professional issues is one help. Okay, you don't have to go far. There are people around you, right? Sometimes when we meet for evenings, we just end up, if you're just having, as of now, partying or drinking and discussing the things which doesn't affect much to your life. If you start actively participating and listening to them, it helps. So listening is another thing. When you consciously listen, understand people, understand what they are trying to say, that solves half the problem, because you already have the solution. If you're on a spiritual path, you just need to listen to them carefully, and the solution will pop up. So these are the few things. If they do, I'm sure it definitely help them.
Absolutely. I think so. That's brings us, Mr. Vijay, towards the end of a conversation. I think it's been absolutely blockbuster for me. Uh,
Thank you.
for hearing all this from you, my teacher. You've taught me pranic healing, and I think I'd be happy to keep the links of that pranic healing if people want to explore that further. Of course,
Yes.
as you said, very much have not having a tunnel vision, but exploring many things together. I've also done that at my end along with it, and I totally agree with everything you have said. And I think it's been huge learning for me, and I'm really hoping for the rest of the audience, and on behalf of the podcast, on the Conscious Entrepreneur podcast, and all our audience, I want to again thank you with great, what you can say, with the great generosity with which you have shared your knowledge. I think we have a lot of gratitude for taking out time to do that, and all the best for yourself, your company, also any endeavors which you take in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I'm glad that we could discuss. I don't know, because this is something I'm doing for the this kind of podcasting for the first time. I don't know how much it will help, but
Uh,
I guess we spoke and we shared what we feel about entrepreneurship and about this journey parallel which we are having, spiritual path.
yes.
And you're doing amazing work. Thank you so much, Shabir, for inviting me, and I really enjoyed our talk. Thank you.
Okay. Bye now, Mr. Vijay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.